Am I recording? Yes, I am. Okay, so I'm finally making this video. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a long time now, I've been talking about making this video, or should I say this series of videos for like, well, we're in April now, right? Almost 8 months, I think. I think I've been talking about making a top 30 favorite movies series of videos for like 8 months now, since like August or September. Maybe even longer, I don't even know. But anyways, yeah, I'm sorry this took so long. I've just been very busy. I know that's like my excuse all the time for not making videos, but I'm just busy. Work and school and everything. You know, even just making videos in general, recently I haven't been making a lot. Once in a while I'll have like a movie unboxing and, you know, a reaction here and there to WWE. WrestleMania is coming up too. I'm very excited for that, so you'll see some videos Sunday night, or not really Sunday night, more like Monday morning for WrestleMania, so that's going to be something to look forward to. But this video, or should I, again, this series of videos, it's going to be 3 parts. I've been planning this for a while. I want to, you know, do it right. I want to talk about my top 30 favorite movies, because obviously I'm a big fan of movies, that's my thing. There's tons of movies that I love. There's some, you know, it was actually hard making this list. 30 you think is a lot to work with, but really it isn't, because I looked through all my movies, my whole collection, my DVDs over there, my Blu-rays over there. I looked through every title. I was like, okay, what can I omit? What can I, like, you know, maybe make an honorable mention? I have some honorable mentions. I couldn't exclude these movies from this video. So, like, I have a top 30 favorites. So, it's going to be in 3 parts. This part is going to include 30 to 21. The second video is going to include 20 to 11, right? And then part 3 is going to include 10 to 1. And also in this video, I will mention my honorable mentions. I'm going to mention my honorable mentions. Bear with me here. So yeah, this video is going to be basically a total of 10 movies, and then the honorable mentions. I have 11 honorable mentions. I wanted to have 10 honorable mentions, but I couldn't omit, like, I couldn't omit anything. I was just like, you know what, whatever. I'm going to have 11 honorable mentions. So yeah, first I'm going to say my honorable mentions, my 11 honorable mentions. They're not going to be in any order, but my top 30 movies list is in order. And like I said, it was very hard coming up with 30 movies and then also having to order them. You know, my top 10 favorite movies have pretty much been consistent for a while now. Actually, I should say my top 5. I did a video a year or 2 ago. It was called my top 5 favorite movies. Those were my top 5 favorite movies for many years, like in that order. So you can search my videos if you want to see what my top 5 are. But actually, as of this recording, my top 5 has changed. Yes, yes, indeed. My top 5 favorite movies has changed ever since then. So it's not going to be the same. My number 1 movie has changed. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. My number 1 favorite movie of all time has changed. It has changed a couple times over the past, I guess, decade, right? I'm old, right? I'm only 22. I'm not that old, but I feel old. So my number 1 favorite movie is different. So if you look at that video I did a year or 2 ago called my top 5 favorite movies, pretty much move each of those movies down 1 space. So like my number 1 movie is number 2 now. My number 2 movie then was number 3 now. So those all moved down 1 notch is what I'm trying to say here. So anyways, like I said, this is going to be 3 parts. This is the first video. Tomorrow I will upload the second part. I'm going to try to record all of them right now, you know, 3 separate recordings. I don't know how long this is going to take. I don't know how long the video is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be long. So I hopefully can do all 3 parts today in this one sitting here. And I'll upload the second part, like I said, tomorrow. And then the third part on Sunday. And then Monday you'll get my WrestleMania reaction video. So that way you have a bunch of videos to watch for the next few days. But yeah, I'm going to try to get through this. It's going to be a lot of talking about movies. I got my water here. I'm going to need my water. So like I said, I don't know how long this video is going to be. I assume it's very long. I'll try not to talk too much about each movie, but I'll pretty much just go over the basics about it. I'm not going to review each one or anything like that. That'll take forever. I should keep my water nearby. If I lean it over, it leaks. I should be careful. Kind of don't want to put it on my floor. My desk is kind of in reach. It's kind of far, though. Anyways, so yeah, I'm going to get started on this. And if you guys don't want to sit through this whole video, I'm gonna pin a comment below saying, you know, the order. If you want to see the spoilers, I guess. If you don't want to be spoiled, just don't look at that comment I put below. It's going to be pinned. Just scroll past it if you want to leave a comment. And you don't want to read that comment, just scroll past it real fast. You don't have to read it. But I'll pin a comment below with, what movies, from 30 to 21. Same thing with the other videos. I'll pin a comment, saying what the list is for that video. So that way, if you don't want to sit through the whole thing, it's whatever. I think I'll also timestamp in the comment where I talk about each movie. If you want to see, you could skip to that part of the video if for one movie in particular. Oh, he likes that movie. Oh, I want to see what he has to say about that one. So you just click the timestamp and it'll take you there. I think I'll timestamp them. I'll be nice because this video's been a long time coming, so I should really do it right. So, like I said, first thing I'm going to talk about is are my honorable mentions. Now, these are in no particular order. I really wanted these to make the list, but they couldn't make the list. These are 11 movies here. Yes, 11. It was supposed to be a top 10, or not top. It's supposed to be 10 honorable mentions, but I couldn't, I have to mention these. Like, I love these movies. So, here are my 11 honorable mentions. These are in no order, though. So, if they were in order, this would be a top 41 favorite movies. But anyways, I have to mention Iron Giant because I love this movie. You ever think back to your childhood and you always have like maybe 3 or 4 movies in particular that were your childhood? This is number 1 for me. This and the Tarzan movie that came out in the 90s, the animated one, and also Chicken Run. Anybody like Chicken Run? Remember that movie? Those were like my 3, period, like point blank. Those were my 3 favorite movies as a kid. But Iron Giant, though, was a cut above those 2 because this movie, I don't know, it's just very emotional. If you've seen Iron Giant, you know what I'm talking about. It's on Netflix, too, so if you haven't seen Iron Giant, please do. This movie is actually underrated, in my opinion, even though a lot of people are aware of it. And also, he's in Ready Player One, the new movie out. Obviously, everyone knows Ready Player One, which I haven't seen, but I might see. I actually own the book for Ready Player One, but I haven't read it. It came in a loot crate from, like, 2 years ago. But my sister read the book, and she says it's great, and the movie looks cool, so I don't know, we'll see. Steven Spielberg did the movie, which is crazy. So, anyways, enough about Ready Player One. But Iron Giant, great movie. Like I said, it's underrated in the fact that when it came out, and it did not do well in the box office. But this is not like a traditional kids movie. There's themes of war, there's themes of, not love, but, connection between person and a non-person. But it's just a very great movie. It's a beautiful movie. Brad Bird directed this. I think he did The Incredibles, and he also did that George Clooney Tomorrowland movie, which I don't think was good, but I didn't see that. But yeah, this is the cool limited collector's edition thing, which I'm very happy to have. I unboxed this a while back, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have much else to say. Just a phenomenal animated movie, kids movie that what's the word? I'm looking for a particular word. Oh God, there's a word. I can't think of it right now. Oh God, it pretty much, it just breaks down the walls of traditional kids animated movies and stuff like that, and family movies. It transcends. That's the word I was looking for. It transcends. There you go. It transcends the animated family movie. So yeah, but like I said, I need to like keep these, talking about each movie short, especially in the honorable mentions, because these aren't even in the top 30. So I'm not going to talk too long. Sorry about that. But Iron Giant, I had to like just talk about that. All right, my next honorable mention is Ridley Scott's Alien. Now, I really wanted to put this in my top 30 movies because this is a masterpiece of science fiction. Ridley Scott is one of my top 5 favorite directors, actually. And this is my favorite Alien movie, too. I know a lot of people like Aliens more, but it's all about Alien for me. I'm more of the traditional, suspense thriller kind of movie as opposed to the sci-fi action, which is what Aliens was. Aliens is a great sequel, though, don't get me wrong. And I love James Cameron. Sorry about that. But the first Alien for me is better. I just think it works better overall as like, that, old school classic movie. This is genuinely a classic movie nowadays. I really wouldn't call Aliens a classic movie yet, but it is, iconic. This one is better than Aliens, I think. It's definitely better than all the other Alien movies besides Aliens. Alien and Aliens are like almost tied, but I like this one slightly more. Don't have much else to say. Just very, very great sci-fi, horror, suspense, thriller movie. Sigourney Weaver, amazing. Yeah, Alien, just a classic movie. So that's Alien. Next up, now I got 2 honorable mentions in this Clint Eastwood box right here. Now, for those of you who don't know, back in like late middle school and pretty much all of high school, I was a huge Clint Eastwood fan. He's pretty much my favorite, not overall my favorite director, not overall my favorite actor per se, but he's like my favorite all-around person, you know what I mean? Just a very talented guy. You know, he has 4 Oscars to his name, which is crazy. He's directed great movies. He's acted in great movies. You know, I first became aware of him from, you know, the Dollars trilogy, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in particular. Clint Eastwood's just a phenomenal, iconic person. He's very talented. And, you know, I own a ton of his movies. I don't own every single one of them, but, like, back in high school, it was kind of my mission when I was collecting DVDs to, like, have every single Clint Eastwood movie. I'm missing a few, but, like, I have most of them, and then I have this set, which has a majority of them. Basically, his most iconic are in this box. Aside from the Dollars trilogy, which is owned by a different company. But this is his Warner Brothers, because he mostly makes Warner Brother movies. So in this box here, my 2 honorable mentions would be Unforgiven, and where is it? Oh, there it is, $1 Million Baby. Both won Best Picture, and both won Best Director. So those 4 Oscars of his are just from those 2 movies. Now, Unforgiven is a phenomenal movie. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, wow. Because I was more used to the traditional Clint Eastwood's, the, you know, not the, you know, blue-eyed, blonde-haired, you know, perfect hero or anything like that. But he was more of the traditional Western hero. But in Unforgiven, man, he's definitely the anti-hero. William Money, murder of women and children. You know, Morgan Freeman's in there. Gene Hackman does a phenomenal job as the villain in this movie. Richard Harris is in it too. Rest in peace to Richard Harris. The first Dumbledore, the best Dumbledore. For the 2 movies we saw him play Dumbledore. Yeah, Unforgiven's a great movie. It's just, I don't know. I just remember the first time seeing it, just how brutal and how dark that movie was. It's really just a really great character piece on Clint Eastwood's character, William Money. You know, and by the way, a lot of these movies I'm talking about in this series of videos here, I haven't watched them in a while. I haven't watched Unforgiven in like a good 2 years or something like that. So bear with me here. But Unforgiven, just a phenomenal, great movie all around. I'm happy it won Best Picture. Yeah, just great movie. Like, seriously, Unforgiven's awesome. And also, too, the fact that Clint Eastwood was older at the time, it kind of made sense for him because he was that iconic, you know, young Western hero, but now he's like older and he's, you know, and he's in a dark place. So yeah. Also, I want to recommend Outlaw Josie Wales. I love that movie, but it didn't make the list or anything like that. All right, my other honorable mention, like I said, was $1 Million Baby. Now, $1 Million Baby was at one point like my number 2 favorite movie of all time. Back when I first was, you know, getting into Clint Eastwood, I loved $1 Million Baby. I was like, oh my god, that movie was so good. It was so emotional. Just a beautiful film. The thing is now, it's not even in my top 30 favorite movies anymore. You know, I've kind of not grown up or anything like that. I'm not trying to say anything negative about the movie, but I've kind of grown out of that whole, you know, what's the word? Sorry, I'm just doing this offhand. You know, I didn't type up anything or anything like that, but sure, I didn't type a script for this video. I'm just kind of rambling on, as I do always. I've kind of just grown out of the whole, you know, emotional sport movie, I guess, even though I have 2 of those in my top 30, actually 3, never mind. I'm going to stop giving spoilers here, because you probably figure out what some are. Oh, Rocky, right? Yeah, Rocky's in my top 30 favorite movies, of course it is. But, something about $1 Million Baby, it just doesn't work for me as much anymore, because I know what happens, obviously. I know the sad, well, I don't want to give any spoilers, per se. But there's a sad thing that happens in the movie. But, you know, it's a great story. Clint Eastwood's character has a whole arc and everything, and, you know, Hilary Swank did a phenomenal job. She won an Oscar for this. Morgan Freeman won an Oscar too, I believe, right? Yeah? Yeah, he did, I think. Best Supporting Actor. Just a great movie. Like, really. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time on honorable mentions, so I'm going to stop talking about that. But Yeah, Million Dollar Baby was at one point very high on my list, but you know I kind of broadened my horizons. I've viewed many more films since then, so it's not in my top 30 anymore, but it's a damn good movie. So yeah, my next honorable mention is Silver Linings Playbook. Now you're probably like, well, this movie really? Yeah, the thing is with this movie, I know it's like, oh, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence. What is this? This is nothing, right? No. This was an Oscar contender, I should say. I believe Bradley Cooper got nominated. I know Jennifer Lawrence won. By the way, I need to mention, in high school, I was in love with Jennifer Lawrence. Not anymore, though, but I was like, yo, Jennifer Lawrence, she can act, and she's pretty, and she's funny, and I was just in love with her, but enough of that. So, at the time when I saw this, especially, I was like, wow, this was a good movie. It was very emotional, very family-oriented, especially Bradley Cooper's character, and Robert De Niro, plays his father and stuff like that. But this was just a beautiful movie. Great romance, great comedy, too. This movie is really funny. And I really love the whole connection between, the playbook, predicting football outcomes and also what happens with him and, his relationship with Tiffany Maxwell, right? That's her character's name. Yeah, just a great movie. And, I love... when I first saw this, too, I didn't know Bradley Cooper's character was, like, crazy or whatever. I was like, oh, that's what this movie is. Okay. But it's just a very cool study of, like, people and stuff like that. And the director, David O. Russell, I love his movies. American Hustle, too. I almost want to put in this honorable mentions list. I love American Hustle. But I like this one slightly more. But David O. Russell's a great director. I love that he constantly works with very talented people. He's worked with Bradley Cooper several times and Jennifer Lawrence several times. Yeah, I just love his movies because he does something different each time. Like, it's always different. But this movie is just very good. I really like this one. And this movie also makes me really like the song My Cherie Amour, right? Is that how you pronounce it? By Stevie Wonder. Great song. Yeah, just a beautiful movie. I love this movie. So that is Silver Linings Playbook in my honorable mentions, but not in my top 30. Alright, so next is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now, this is another one where I was like, I gotta put this in my top 30, because it's a beautiful movie that, it's part of my childhood, it's embedded in my childhood. The remake can go to hell. I'm just kidding. The remake, it's okay. It's just, it does not even compare to this. This is a classic. Rest in peace to Gene Wilder. Big part of my childhood was this movie. Yeah, one of the best performances of all time, to be honest. Him as Willy Wonka. Yeah, just, great soundtrack. Soundtrack, did you hear that? Great soundtrack. Pure imagination, phenomenal song. Just a great movie. Just great visuals. Just, it didn't make the top 30. It was hard, I had to keep this, I couldn't put it in the top 30. All the other movies beat it. But just a great movie. I have much else to say. Willy Wonka. Everyone's seen it. It's a classic. The scene on the boat is terrifying, still to this day. But I need to get this on Blu-ray. But yeah, Willy Wonka, great movie. The remake, no. Anyways, next up, my favorite director of all time, by the way, Stanley Kubrick. Now, you'll probably be like, wait, but you don't have all his movies in your top 30 when you watch the other parts of this list, I should say. Yeah, only The Shining and one other of his movies, I won't say which it is, are on my top 30. Well, actually, no, The Shining's not even in my top 30. It's on my honorable mentions. The Shining. Classic movie, Jack Nicholson, one of the best performances of all time. Red Rum. Stephen King novel, but apparently Stephen King doesn't like this movie because it's, like, completely different from his novel. But everyone knows The Shining. It's definitely, like, it's in the top 5 best horror movies ever made, for sure. Or you could argue it's a thriller, whatever, suspense movie. No, it's a horror movie. Just a crazy movie. Like, Stanley Kubrick, he's a genius. Like I said, he's my favorite director of all time because all of his movies... They're not movies. Like, you have to, there's details in all his movies that could mean something. There's a guy I watch on YouTube, his name is, what's his name? Oh, God. Hold on, it'll come to me in a minute. Is it Rob something? Oh, Rob Ager. I think that's his name, Rob Ager. A-G-E-R is his last name. He does these videos where he, like, analyzes movies and stuff like that, and he has a whole website dedicated to it, and he'll post videos on YouTube. He makes tons of video essays, I guess he calls them, or whatever, that you have to like pay for to watch, but he puts some of them on YouTube for free. You should watch his videos. He's really good at analyzing movies, and he does all these videos on Stanley Kubrick movies. There are things in The Shining that I never like thought like were a thing. Like, he discovered so many hidden things in The Shining. I'm not sure he discovered them, but he explains them. But he's very good at analyzing film and stuff like that, so I recommend you check out his channel. I'm subscribed to him. You can look at my subscriptions if you want and find his channel easier that way if you'd like. But The Shining it's got tons of stuff hidden in it. It's got tons of suspense. It's iconic. You know, here's Johnny. Just a phenomenal movie, but it didn't make my top 30, unfortunately. But there is one other Stanley Kubrick movie that did make my top 30, but I just think his work overall as a director is why he's like my favorite director. He's just so different. All his movies are different, and he's got a style like nobody else. He's just a genius. But yeah, The Shining is in my honorable mentions. Had to include it somewhere, but not my top 30, unfortunately. All right, now this was like the one where I was like, oh, this is not in my top 30, but it really should be, and that is Die Hard, because Die Hard is amazing. It's like, I remember when I first watched Die Hard, I watched it like a million times, like, afterwards, like, in a row. I was just like, this movie's amazing. Like, one guy trapped in a building, you got all these terrorists, and it's just crazy. Bruce Willis, phenomenal, John McClane, of course. And I'm a big fan of the Die Hard series overall as well, but the first Die Hard, nothing compares to that. In terms of like an action movie, well, there's other action movies that I have ranked higher, but I'm talking like, you know, one single hero against all these bad guys, and you got, you know, a great supporting cast. You know, rest in peace to Alan Rickman, who did a phenomenal job as Hans Gruber, the villain. Die Hard's just a classic. Like, it's considered to be the #1 action movie of all time, and, you know, I don't necessarily agree with that, because there's one in particular I have ranked way higher, which I'll get to later. In the third video, which you'll see on Sunday, yeah. But Die Hard, it really tore me up to not include it in my top 30. I just had to. I was like, God. But yeah, Die Hard, phenomenal movie. I don't have much else to say. I almost want to say it's a masterpiece, but masterpiece is a word you associate to certain movies that were made with like an artistic vision. I wouldn't say Die Hard's like an artistic movie. You know what I mean? But it's an action masterpiece. How about that? I'll call it an action masterpiece. All right, next up, this one also, Logan. Oh, man, I love Logan. My #1 movie of 2017, but not really. Yeah, there was one that beat it, actually, because it's in my top 30. Now I realized that's what I did. You could probably guess what it is. Well, those of you who watch my videos can probably guess what that other movie is. But Logan, I wanted to put this on my top 30, but I couldn't. But this is definitely a masterpiece. James Mangold did a great job with this. Hugh Jackman, amazing. I really hate the fact that Hugh Jackman did not get nominated for an Oscar for this movie, but I understand the Oscars, they don't really associate with superhero movies that much. But this was a brilliant movie, phenomenal. Daphne Keane, I can't wait to see what else she does. She's a phenomenal actress. I believe this was her first movie. Patrick Stewart as well, great job. Just a great, literally a perfect send-off for Wolverine, and also Professor X, I guess. At least Patrick Stewart as Professor X. Emotional, brutal, Western, action, just a great movie. Everyone knows Logan's phenomenal. I mean, I got a giant poster of it right there, the IMAX poster, and I got a t-shirt with that image on it. It's really cool. I don't know if I wore it in any of my videos, but I should. Yeah, just I love this movie. It's like perfect. It really, it's not perfect, but I really want to call it perfect. Logan, watch my review for it. You'll just see. Like, literally, I made that review right after I got out of the theater. You could just see my reaction to Logan. Beautiful movie. Next up on my honorable mentions is Shawshank Redemption, or should I say The Shawshank Redemption. Now, I know a lot of people are like, how could you not include this in your top 30? There's plenty of space. There's 30 movies. You couldn't include this and that? You know what? This is a great movie. It's iconic. It's amazing. It's #1 on IMDb's top 250 movies. It's been that way for a long time. A lot of people consider this movie to be perfect. I love this movie. Don't get me wrong. That's why it's in my honorable mentions. And it really did kind of tear me up not to include this in my top 30. But the thing is with Shawshank Redemption, it's just, after watching it the first, I've probably seen this movie maybe 5 times, which is fine. You know, 5 viewings is plenty, I think. It's just after the first few, it's like, okay, I know everything that happens. You know, watching this movie is still a great experience. I actually did watch this recently on, like, Netflix, I think, randomly. It's still a great experience to watch it. It's just after the first few times, you know all the surprises, you know everything that happens, and, you know, you could say that for any movie. But some movies have a certain thing to where, like, you watch it again, you're like, oh, I forgot that was going to happen, or just, like, you're still emotionally invested in what's going to happen, even though you know what's going to happen. I'm still emotionally invested in these characters in this story. It's just, I don't really know. It's just kind of wore off after a few years of, you know, viewing this movie. It's great, though. Don't get me wrong. I really do enjoy watching this. It's one of the better prison movies or whatever. But I don't know. I couldn't include it in my top 30. The other ones beat it out. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'm not saying anything bad about this, but it's a great movie. It's just, I don't know. But it's an honorable mention, so that's a good thing. All right. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. If you see any if you don't see any movies in particular, like, for example, Casablanca or, like, Citizen Kane, they're not included in my top 30 or my honorable mentions, but that's not because they're bad. I've seen them. It's just this is my personal preferences for movies, my personal favorites. I've seen Citizen Kane twice, I think. I've seen Casablanca once. Both are phenomenal movies. It's just they're not like my thing, I guess. I don't know. They're great though. I acknowledge that. But if you don't see me mention certain movies in particular, like, wait, why didn't you mention this or that, or, you know, oh, I know what a big one's going to be, The Dark Knight. You didn't mention The Dark Knight. How could you? How is that not your top 30? It's just my personal take. I'm sorry. I've seen The Dark Knight. It's a phenomenal movie. It's just I don't think I put it in my top 30, did I? I've got my list right here. I made a list. I believe The Dark Knight is not on it. No, it is not. So certain movies, I just, you know, I don't love them like everybody else, or there's probably certain ones I haven't even seen. Like, there's a movie called City of God, which is supposed to be like a great movie. I think it's in IMDb's top 10 or something like that. I have never seen it. Also, what's another movie I haven't seen that's like, oh my god, it's like amazing. I don't know. But anyways, you get what I'm saying. Like, there's certain ones I just haven't seen, or certain ones I just don't love like everybody else does. So that's why they're not on this list. But while I'm 27 minutes in, I haven't even got to my top 30 list yet. Okay, the last honorable mention. I had to do this because certain people are just like mad about my opinion about it. Pulp Fiction. I already went into detail about Pulp Fiction. If you look at my video, ranking Quentin Tarantino's movies, I did a video like, what was that, like a month ago maybe? I talk about in detail why Pulp Fiction is not one of my favorite movies anymore. It used to be my 4th favorite movie of all time, I think, at one point, right? I think that's what it was. Yeah. I used to love Pulp Fiction. It's in my honorable mentions now. You could say this is the 11th honorable mention. Instead of it being a top 10 honorable mentions, this is the 11th one. Pulp Fiction is a phenomenal movie. I don't know how many times I can stress that. I think it's a great movie. I think it's amazing. Amazing. I think it's amazing. It's just, I've lost my love for it over time. And like I said, if you want to know my full details, my full opinions on Pulp Fiction, go to the video I did for ranking Quentin Tarantino's movies. I really talk about in detail why that happened. Why I don't love it anymore. But it's in my honorable mentions, so don't hate me. I do think it's a great movie, so. Anyways, those are my top 11, or not my top 11, why am I calling it that? Those are my 11 honorable mentions. Now I'm going to get into the top 30 list, and these are going to be in order. So, it took some time, but I made the list, and they're all in order. So let's get to it. Number 30 is, let me grab this box again, Reservoir Dogs. Now, Reservoir Dogs, I said, was Quentin Tarantino's best movie, and I still feel that way about it. Reservoir Dogs is one of those movies where you could just put it on and just watch it. I've seen it like a billion times. I think it's second place in like my most watched movies ever. My number one, I'll get to later. But Reservoir Dogs, phenomenal movie. I love the craziness that happens in it. I love the cast of characters. I love dialogue. I love I just love the situations and everything, and the way the movie wraps up is kind of weak, I think. Just, that's like my one negative. I don't really like the last thing that happens in the movie. It's just like, okay. It just kind of just ends like that, but it abruptly ends, I should say. But great directorial debut. Iconic, really. That's what Reservoir Dogs is. It's really iconic, in my opinion. So that's number 30, okay? But I really wanted to put it higher. Back in the day, I would have put it in like my top 10 probably, but nowadays it's at number 30. So yeah, Reservoir Dogs is number 30. All right, now number 29 is, let me grab over here, The Sandlot. I actually watched this the other night because I was actually randomly at a baseball game. I won't explain why, but I was randomly at a baseball game. Not like a major league baseball or anything, just a, regular old team. But I was like, I should watch The Sandlot because I really love this movie. This is another one of those from your childhood that's like a classic. And this movie turns 25 years old this year, I think. I think they had a new edition of this come out, or has it come out already? But this is the 20th anniversary edition that came out 5 years ago. The nice cover on it. Excuse me. Don't you love how I just nonchalantly burp in all my videos like that? Yeah, just a classic movie, really. It's a great kids movie, great coming-of-age story, great cast of characters. So many memorable parts. You're Killing Me, Smalls, and I thought you said the great Bambi. That wimpy deer. And then you got the dog right there. James Earl Jones has a part in this too, which is cool. Darth Vader. Yeah, just, I don't know. Everybody's seen The Sandlot. You already know how great it is. If you don't like The Sandlot, what's wrong with you? But yeah, The Sandlot. That is number 29 for me. All right, coming in at number 28. Now this one, okay. Now you're going to see a couple times on my list that I have certain movies tied. Now, you could say, okay, so it's not really a top 30. It's a top, like, 35 or something. Yeah, certain movies are tied for a certain place. It was just hard, you know what I mean? Like, the Star Wars movies, it's kind of a spoiler right now, but later in my list, I have 3 Star Wars movies tied for the same spot. You can probably guess what those 3 are. Yeah, I really couldn't, like, decide. I have certain ones tied together. But they are related to each other. The ones that are tied together are related to each other, so that's why. But in this case, it's Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead movie. Now, I know what you're saying. Where's Evil Dead 1? Now, here's the thing for me. The first Evil Dead movie I ever saw was Army of Darkness. I will never forget the first time I saw this movie and being, like, so amazed at how awesome Ash was when he fights that thing in the pit or whatever, and he has the chainsaw, he jumps up and it connects to his arm. I was probably, like, 9 or 10 years old when I saw that on TV, and I was just like, oh my god, this guy is so cool. Like, I thought this movie was crazy. I was like, this movie's awesome. It's got everything in it. It's got action, it's got comedy, it's just got everything a kid that age loves. So Army of Darkness was like one of those movies where, like, you watch it at a young age and you just fall in love with it. Now, I think that's why I like it more than the first Evil Dead. Now, the consensus with Evil Dead fans is that Evil Dead 2 is the best, and then it's the first Evil Dead, and then Army of Darkness is the least best, not counting the remake or anything like that. My consensus is that Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness are the best. Now, Evil Dead 1's a classic. It's low budget or whatever, which is actually adds to its, God, I can't think today. I'm sorry. Adds to its attractiveness, I guess. I don't know. But Evil Dead 1, I don't know. It just didn't really work for me compared to these two. It's a great movie. It's enjoyable and stuff. But when you compare it to, like, at least the Ash character, it's no contest. Ash is way better than these two. And a lot of people, they acknowledge Evil Dead 2 is better than Evil Dead 1. Evil Dead 2 is a crazy, crazy movie. It's got a lot of stuff in it. A lot of violent parts. But I really enjoy Evil Dead 2, but I kind of like Army of Darkness more. That's the thing. It's maybe because I saw this one first. I noticed that. Certain people like certain things because they saw it first. Like, some people could say they like, I don't know. I'm looking over here at my movies. Like, let's say they like the prequels better than the original Star Wars movies. I know that's, like, crazy to say. But maybe somebody could be like, well, I saw the prequels first, so I like them more. I don't know. I don't agree with that whatsoever, but I don't know. Just you know what I'm saying? Like certain people see a sequel first, and then they like it more than they like the original. That's the case with me in Army of Darkness. I really do love this movie. I like it more than the first two Evil Dead movies, but I do acknowledge Evil Dead 2 probably is the better movie overall. So that's why I have them tied together. So Evil Dead 2, I haven't really talked much about that one, but it's a great movie. It's really fun. It's not scary, really. I mean, when you first watch it, it's kind of scary, but, it's more on the comedy side at certain parts. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Evil Dead overall. Ash vs. Evil Dead, great show. I'm glad that it's on its third season now. I'm watching it every week, by the way. This new season's pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2 tied together. So, yeah, that's that. Okay. Next up is number 27, and that is Modern Times, Charlie Chaplin. And what year did this come out? 1936. So this is the oldest movie on my list. Now, in high school, I had a film teacher. She introduced me to Charlie Chaplin and his movies and stuff, and we watched Modern Times, and I love this movie. This movie it's really funny. It's not boring whatsoever. Don't take into consideration that because it's a silent movie, it's black and white, it's 82 years old now, that it's boring. It is not boring. This movie is very entertaining. Charlie Chaplin's a master of, like, physical comedy. Not having to say anything, but just expressing with, like, your looks and your actions. But this movie, it's a beautiful movie. It's about, it's been a long time since I've seen this, though, I'm not going to lie. But he meets this woman, and then they go around and like they sneak into like a store, and it's just a great movie. It's also about the industrialization at the time of machines and stuff like that. Modern Times is the title, obviously, so it's about how the change and technology and stuff was occurring, and also it deals with like poverty and stuff like that, and and the movie has a beautiful ending too, where it's just him and I don't want to spoil it, but it's just a beautiful movie, and it's got that song "Smile," which Michael Jackson made a whole thing about. He added lyrics and everything to it. Yeah, Modern Times it's really a classic. This is definitely a classic in every sense of the word. I've seen other Charlie Chaplin. I've seen The Great Dictator, which has a great speech in it. Everybody's seen the speech from The Great Dictator, but I like this one more. I think this is a great movie. Great to watch, and it's very fun, but I need to rewatch this. I'll probably watch it like maybe tonight, who knows, we'll see. Yeah, I need to see this again. It's been a while. Modern Times, though, beautiful movie, I love it. That's number 27. So 26 is David Fincher's Seven. Now here's the thing, David Fincher is in my top 5 favorite directors. He might just be my number 2. I love David Fincher's work. I don't know why, he's just a very talented guy. Like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version. Love that movie. Seven, Fight Club. I'm having a brain fart now. What the heck? David Fincher. Jesus Christ, why can't I think of his work? Curious Case of Benjamin Button. There you go. Social Network. Gone Girl was amazing. I'm just a big fan of David Fincher. And Seven is his masterpiece. This movie is so intense and so suspenseful, and Kevin Spacey, say what you want about Kevin Spacey nowadays, but I still love this movie regardless. Kevin Spacey, the person, and this movie have nothing to do with each other. Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, just a great pair. This is a crime, mystery, thriller movie, and this has got so many themes running through it. Morgan Freeman's arc is awesome. Brad Pitt's arc is crazy. What happens at the end, the ending of this movie, one of the craziest endings in any movie ever. I remember when I first saw this movie, I was so shocked at what happened. This movie's a masterpiece. I love Seven. It's phenomenal. This used to be in like my top 5 movies ever. It's kind of low on the list, I know. It's just, like I said, it was hard making a list, I'm sorry. Seven's great, I love it. So I really don't have much else to say about it. I don't have any negatives to say about this movie. It's that damn good. If you've never seen Seven, please watch Seven. It's awesome. Okay. Next up is number 25. And that is the first Men in Black. Now, people are like, wait, 7 is not as good as Men in Black. No, it's just my personal preference, okay? I acknowledge 7 is, like, it's definitely a better movie than Men in Black. I'm sure of it. But in terms of, like, my favorites, I put Men in Black above it. Now, the first Men in Black, I love. The second Men in Black, not a good movie, but I still enjoy it. Men in Black 3 was pretty good. But Men in Black 1 is, like, a great movie because you can put it on anytime and just watch it. And my only complaint about the first Men in Black is that it's, like, what? 80 minutes, 90 minutes. It's a very short movie. It goes by super fast. But that's not really a negative, though, if you think about it. You kind of want it to just kind of, you know, it's got a great pace and everything. If it was longer, maybe certain things would drag on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling Men in Black a perfect movie, but it's a perfect, like, viewing experience. It's so easy to watch. It's very funny. It's got a lot of memorable parts. My sister, too, is a big fan of the first Men in Black. We always, like, quote it with each other, you know, sugar and water. Your favorite gun, and then he holds up the little gun or whatever. Or no, the noisy cricket. No, that was from Men in Black 2 when he called it his favorite gun. But anyways, first Men in Black is underrated in my opinion. One of Will Smith's better, you know, first roles. I don't think it was his first movie, was it, Men in Black? It was one of his first ones, though. Will Smith was great. Tommy Lee Jones, awesome. What's his name is the villain? Vincent D'Onofrio. So memorable as Zed. Or not Zed. Edgar Bug. Zed was played by Rip Torn or whatever. Great character also. But I love the Men in Black movies. The second one, like I said, is not good. But the first one especially, it's just... And this is not a tie or anything like that. Like how Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness were tied. No, I'm just talking about the first Men in Black here. I love it. It's so enjoyable. I don't know. It's just infinitely rewatchable. You can just watch it anytime. And it's really funny. A lot of funny parts. It's got that great song in the credits that Will Smith did. You know, Here Come the Men in Black. I love that. I love that song. Yeah, man, the first Men in Black. I don't know. I don't have much else to say. But anybody else agree with me on that? Men in Black is, like, really underrated. All right. Next up is number 24. And that is Warrior. Now, this is, like I said, I mentioned earlier with $1 Million Baby, the sports movie. Warrior, this movie is so emotional. It is so, like, every time you watch it, the last, what is it, 5 minutes or whatever, when that song plays, you know what I'm talking about. You can't help but, like, cry. Like, it's that good. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was like, I didn't expect it to be that good. Like, wow. Nick Nolte got an Oscar nomination, which was well-deserved. He didn't win, though, unfortunately. But, you know, over the years, when I rewatched this movie, I came to the realization that Tom Hardy is just as good as Nick Nolte in this movie. Now, I'm not discounting Joel Edgerton, who played the main role right there. He was good as well. But Tom Hardy is just as good as Nick Nolte in this movie because he's got, like, such a damaged past, and he's got, like, what's the word I'm looking for? He's such a damaged character that you never really... It's kind of underplayed, you know what I mean? Tom Hardy does this kind of underplaying of it that actually is very brilliant. I used to think Nick Nolte was, like, the best thing ever. Like, when I saw this, like, his performance, I used to think his performance was, like, one of the all-time greats. But now that I've rewatched this movie, I noticed that Tom Hardy is just as good in this movie. There's that one scene, you know the scene I'm talking about, where Nick Nolte goes crazy in the hotel, and Tom Hardy's just underplaying the thing, just looking at him, just like, you know. But it's so, like, it's not I don't know if underplaying is the right word. It's just so, it's not as, he doesn't, like, really express it as much as somebody else would, but he does it in such a way that's, like, you can see it in his eyes and his approach to everything. I don't know, I can't really explain it, but this movie is so good. It's so emotional. It's like, you know, when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I thought, oh, it's just going to be a generic sports movie or whatever. And I watched it, I was like, oh my god, that was so good. It was so good. Everybody knows this movie is the shit. Yeah, it's just, I love this movie. It's so good. Warrior, if you've never seen it, please see it. It's worth your time, trust me. It's not just about MMA. It's about a lot more than that. A beautiful movie. I don't know. I get emotional just thinking about it. Alright, next up is, another emotional sports movie, The Wrestler. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I had a very tough time deciding, like, you know, these two ended up in, like, number 28, number 27. Or no, number 24 and number 23. I had a hard time deciding which one would be which. I was just like, they're both very emotional. They kind of, have the same color scheme kind of going on. You see that? But I was like, I like The Wrestler slightly more. Mainly because Mickey Rourke is gotta be like one of the best actors of all time, for sure. Because his performance in this movie it's amazing. You really feel like this guy is a real person. If you've seen The Wrestler, you know, you think of the scene where he's working the front deli or whatever, right? Was it the deli? I think it was. And he's serving people food and he's having fun with the customers. That scene is it puts such a smile on my face because like this guy is a real person. He makes mistakes. He makes bad decisions. He's got self-damaging or self-destructive characteristics. Like, you know, as humans, we all have self-destructive characteristics. We always kind of make things worse for ourselves in like a way that we don't realize. You know what I mean? He makes dumb decisions, but this is a person right here, and this is such an emotional movie. And not to mention too, I have the highest amount of respect for professional wrestling you could think of, because I'm obviously a big WWE fan, but it goes beyond that. Professional wrestling as a sport, you know, it gets a lot of criticism. Oh, wrestling's fake. It's this and that. It's, you know, but you don't realize the effect it has on the person, the effect of pain that a person goes through, how it affects them personally and, you know, physically, obviously. You know, I really, you know, I don't get mad or anything when somebody says wrestling's fake. I just think it's ignorant. You know what I mean? Of course it's fake. I know it's fake. You know what else is fake? A movie. A movie's fake, but we all like movies. You know, if you cry at a movie, I understand. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you laugh at a movie, if you get mad at a movie, whatever. It's just like you suspend your disbelief that these people, these actors, are getting paid tons of money to play these parts. You suspend your disbelief that they're real people. You know, when you watch any movie, you think it's like a real thing going on. You know it's fake in the back of your head, but you watch it with all these emotions. Now, the same thing with professional wrestling. You suspend your disbelief. You know, I'm watching it the whole time. I'm like, oh, I know it's choreographed. I know there's a predetermined outcome. But these people, they're performing, but they're not using stuntmen. They're actually using their bodies for their art. And, you know, that's the thing I don't like when people criticize wrestling for being fake. You know, if you don't like it because it's fake, that's fine. You don't have to like it. But I just, you know, it's really, it's a shame, really. I don't like when people, you know, say that. But it's whatever. I'm not offended or anything if you don't like wrestling. It's fine. But the thing is, this movie really perfectly illustrates the lifestyle, especially being an independent wrestler, because that's what, you know, he's not in the major leagues or anything like that. He's struggling. He's poor. He's got bad health. It's just, I don't know, it's really Mickey Rourke's performance in this movie that really raises it above just being an average, like, sports drama. I really wish Mickey Rourke would have won an Oscar for this. I know he got nominated. I don't remember who won. This was 2009 or 8? Hold on a second. 2008, I think, or 9. It's got both years. God, I don't know. Okay, who won that year? Please tell me. I'm probably going to look it up later anyways. But Mickey Rourke should have won, man. I mean, come on. And you got that song by Bruce Springsteen, The Wrestler. Great music. You got that scene with Marissa Tomei, who's also great in the movie, by the way, where they're in the bar and they're singing Round and Round. Oh, man, this movie. I love this movie. Oh, God. I'm literally getting goosebumps right now talking about it. Like, this is a beautiful movie right here, The Wrestler. If you've never seen it, if you don't even like wrestling, just watch this movie. You'll have a whole new perspective on everything, I'm telling you. All right, next up is after The Wrestler, number 22. Oh, I have to grab this box again. Where is it? Where did I put it? Oh God, oh here it is. Duh. Okay, Stanley Kubrick. Now my number 22 movie is Full Metal Jacket right there. The only other Stanley Kubrick movie I'm going to talk about. Yes, I'm sorry about that. But the other one just couldn't make the list. I'm a big fan of A Clockwork Orange, by the way. I thought I'd mention that. And also, Doctor Strangelove's a funny movie. But, yeah, Full Metal Jacket is like, it's amazing. It's a great war movie. It's got a lot of great dialogue, especially with Gunnery Sergeant Hartman, played by Arlie Ermy, who was a real sergeant in the military. Full Metal Jacket is just, it's a great movie. Like, it's one of the better war movies. It's got a great story arc with Vincent D'Onofrio as Private Pyle. It's brutal at times. It's very funny at times. It's just a crazy movie like that. You know what I mean? It perfectly blends brutality and humor somehow. The violence of war, and also the humanity of the soldiers. Me and my friend Rob, we love this movie. We quote it all the time. I remember the first time I discovered he liked the movie. I'm like, you like Full Metal Jacket? So do I. Oh my god. And then we started quoting the movie, and it's just, oh man, that first half of the movie with the training on, what's the name of the island? Paris Island? Is that what it's called? Something like that? You know what I'm talking about. The first half of the movie where they're training or whatever to be Marines is amazing. A lot of people like that half better than the second half, but I think the second half is just as good. Equally as good dialogue, I think, with Animal Mother and stuff, and talking to Private Joker. What are you, a photographer? No, I'm a combat correspondent. Oh man, I love that movie. Yeah, Full Metal Jacket. You know, I kind of didn't want to put it above The Wrestler, but it just kind of slightly more, a little bit. I don't know. In terms of, like, my personal connection to it, you know what I mean? My personal, like, viewings of it. I've seen Full Metal Jacket, like, a billion times. The Wrestler, I've probably seen maybe 10 times, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Full Metal Jacket, great movie. One of the better Vietnam War movies. It's, I think, it's my favorite. Oh, no, actually, no, there's one that's above it. Sorry, I haven't got to it yet. But it's way down the line, so, yeah. Okay, next up is number 21. This is the last one I'm going to talk about on this video. So the next video will be part 2. It'll be movies number 20 to 11, right? Yeah. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. But this is the last one I'm going to talk about in this video. We're heading on 51 minutes right now. If you're watching this whole video, you're cool, okay? Anyways, I need to end this soon. Because I have 2 more videos to shoot right now that are going to be just as long. Silence of the Lambs. Now, everyone knows Silence of the Lambs. You got Hannibal Lecter, played by Anthony Hopkins. One of the best performances of all time. Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling. Excuse me. This is like one of the best mystery crime thriller movies, because, you know, 7 was also like that. But I think this is a little better than 7. I really love 7, though. But this is like a masterpiece. It won Best Picture. First of all, this is technically a horror movie, I think. Technically? Nah, it's more of a thriller. But everyone always likes to say, this is the only horror movie that's ever won Best Picture. It won Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director. I think it won Best Screenplay also, so it won the top 5, right? Because this was based off of a book. Jonathan Demme, who directed this, he passed away recently, so rest in peace to him. Or was it last year? I think it was last year. Yeah, man, just this movie's iconic. Everyone knows, you know, Buffalo Bill and Hannibal the Cannibal and Hello Clarice and I Ate His Liver with Some Fava Beans. It's just, I don't know. This movie's fantastic. It's just you get so invested. I remember the first time I watched this movie, and there's a sequence where Hannibal Lecter, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there's a part where something happens with Hannibal Lecter's character. It's a whole sequence dedicated to his character. You probably know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. I was so invested when I watched it for the first time. I was just like glued to the screen, like, oh my god, what is going to happen? Like, oh my god. That whole sequence with his character, you know what I'm talking about. It's a spoiler, so that kind of tells you what it is if you've seen the movie. Yeah, this is a phenomenal movie. It really is. Silence of the Lambs, amazing. The dynamic with Clarice and Hannibal, just really great stuff. And Buffalo Bill's a crazy villain. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Silence of the Lambs, great movie. Everybody knows that. If it wasn't a great movie, it wouldn't have won all those awards. But anyways, 53 minutes. Thank you for watching this whole part 1. I have 2 more parts to film right now. This is going to take a long time. But stay tuned for part 2 and part 3. And if you disagree or agree with any of my picks, let me know. I'd like to discuss this in the comments. And yeah, please, I'd like to talk to people about this. If you have any certain ones that you also think are, you know, your favorites, let me know. And especially if you disagree with any of my opinions, I'd like to discuss them. So yeah, thanks for watching this whole thing right here. Part 2 is coming for you tomorrow, and I have to film it right now. 54 minutes. Okay, thanks for watching this, guys. See ya.